Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Corn Twist, yep, into the series Class Sub 20 where I'll be teaching you how to be Sub 20 as fast as possible. Each one of these videos are structured to build upon the previous videos, so if you have not watched my previous videos, I highly recommend you do so just because I use terminology and I have my own methods, so if you're familiar with them, it'll be easier for you to follow along with me. At this part of the series, we're on part 3 of Advanced F2L. We've already done 2 episodes of Advanced F2L before this, so if you have not watched anything else, make sure you go back and watch those 2 at least. In the first Advanced F2L video, we went over the cases where we had the corner pieces in the U layer up like this, as well as the edge pieces. And then in the previous video, we went over the cases where we had the corners in the top layer, or the U layer, and the edge pieces were in the E layer. I want to correct myself on something that I've actually gotten wrong since the beginning of the series. I honestly don't know how this happened, but I've been lying to you guys this entire time by calling this the S layer. This layer that spins right here, this is actually the E layer, and I've been calling it S. If you were looking at the cube with the red looking at you right here, this would be the M layer, and this would be the S layer. So, sorry again for breaking your trust, but you're probably used to it by now. But anyway, today we're going to be going over the cases where we have the corner pieces in the D layer and the edge pieces in the E. So that's long enough of an intro. Remember, subscribe, don't like, you know the drill. Let's go. Picking up where we left off last time and jumping into the new cases. One thing I want to talk about, building off of the previous videos, is another terminology that I'm going to need you to be familiar with. But just to refresh your memories, remember our color groupings. So we have the warm color groupings, which are red and orange, and then we have the cooler color groupings, which are blue and green. Well, we also refer to the colors that match to each other as matching colors, even though they're within the similar color grouping spectrum. But anyway, you have a good pair like this. You know that you insert it correctly whenever both of the colors touch the center caps right beside of them. So we know that this is the correct column to have this inserted into. But imagine you had this pair and you inserted them in here. Well, this is obviously not where it goes, but it goes on the opposite side of the cube from where it is supposed to. So it's supposed to go here. It's on the exact opposite side of the cube. So if this is its correct column, or I would maybe call it the matching column, I would refer to the placement of this being here in a similar column, just for the reason that the blue matches the green and then the red matches with the orange. They both match respective of their color groupings. So the only reason this is important is because I'm going to refer to these columns as either similar columns or opposite columns, where these, for example, if I had this pairing right here and I had it in this column instead, I would refer to this column as an opposite column, this one as well as the one on the opposite side of that too. So in today's video, we're talking about the cases that have the corner pieces in the D layer and then the edge pieces in the E. And we'll start with this one, where obviously we know that if both of the pieces are within the good column itself and they are oriented correctly, then we're done, and that is what we would consider a good column. But now let's insert it into its similar column back here. From here, we know that this edge is still oriented, so all we need to do is take it out and then put it either here or here, bring up the column that it will slot into, insert it, and then have it go into the back slot. Okay, so what about now whenever it's in the opposite column, where normally it would go in this one? Well, you know now that the edge piece is not oriented correctly, so whenever you take this out, however you do so, we'll take it out like that. You need to do a rotation to put this in. So we'll rotate like that and then insert it into the back slot. Now I want to go ahead and point out to you guys that I want to teach you how to do this intuitively. There are a lot of F2L tricks out there that may be more efficient than what I'm teaching right now, but especially if this is the first time that you're seeing some of these cases, I don't want you to be thinking about algorithms so much. I want you to be thinking about how to pair these pieces together in the most optimal and efficient way. So if you came here looking for F2L tricks, it'll be a different video. So next up we have the case where the edge is not oriented like it was before. The most logical thing to do would just be to take out this pair, to split them apart into an opposite pairing, such as this one, and then we would need to rotate simply to insert into the back slot. And then from the back as well, this is not oriented. All we need to do is get it out, separate these two pieces by pairing them into an opposite pairing once again, and then rotating to solve into a back slot. And then now these two pieces are in an opposite column where normally they would go here. The edge piece is now oriented, so when we get them out, we know that once we pair these two together in an opposite pairing like this, then we could just insert both of them into the back with no rotation needed. So those were the cases where we had the white sticker on the bottom here, but there are two more variations where we need to look at, and both of those variations include having the white sticker on the side. So one of them has the white sticker here, and then the other variation has the white sticker facing to the right like that. So in either of these cases, we're going to look at our edge piece and how it is oriented, or if it is not. In this one, it is, so we know that we won't have to rotate after we get done. All we're going to do is just bring this up into the top layer, just like this. And then from here, all we need to do is pair these two up. So pair them up together like this, and then insert them into the front. And you can do the same thing for the other side. If these two pieces are within the similar column on the opposite side of the cube, this edge piece is still oriented, so you just need to bring them out, pair them together using any bad columns, and then insert into the back slot, however you know how. When this is in an opposite column and the edge is still oriented, you just need to bring them out, realize that you need this piece to be here to make an opposite pairing happen, and then use this bad column back here to then hide this corner piece, move this edge over here, bring it back up, and then insert into the back. Alright, now we're back in the matching column, where it will be a good column. We have this case where the edge is now unoriented, unlike before. Again, we're just going to get it out, but we will, after we pair these two up in an opposite pairing, like this, recognize that we have to rotate to insert these. And then, of course, the same is for the back right here. You just take them out, pair them up into an opposite pairing, just like that, and then now we would need to rotate, so that way we can put these into the back slot, like this. Alright, still in the opposite column, where normally it goes here. The edge is now not oriented, so all we need to do is bring them up just like before, and then from here we need to pair them up in a good pairing, because both the colors are matching on top. And then we'll need to rotate, because this is not oriented. So we can just rotate, bring up this column back here, insert this right here, and then we're done. Alright, now we're back with an oriented edge, but our corner piece is now with the white sticker facing this way, instead of how it was before, facing off that way. So since the edge is oriented, we know that we don't have to rotate after, so we just get these two out, recognize what kind of pairing we need to make, so we need this one to go here, so we would use any bad column that we have to then break them apart, pair them up, and then insert. The same thing is done from the similar column back here. The edge is still oriented, so we take it out. It needs to go into this column right here, so we would use it to break this apart, and then we would simply insert into the back slot with no rotations. Now the matching column is right here, but we're in an opposite column now, so from here we would recognize that the edge piece is still oriented, so we don't have to rotate after. Bring these two up, and then now we need this piece to be here, just like before, so we're going to hide this corner piece. This edge goes here, and then we would simply pair them together like this and then insert once again. So I've only been showing you from this side of the cube, but the same thing is mirrored on this side. So if you had the same thing on this side of the cube, you would just do the same thing, but obviously it's on the left side, so yeah, nothing changes. There are certain times you go for certain F2L cases, and then certain times you don't go for them. The cases that I'm about to show you, normally you would not go for them, because there is a very, very great chance that you would have anything better. What I mean by that is we're going to look at a case where the edge piece is within its matching column, and its corner piece is within its similar column. In an actual solve, I would not be looking at these two to make a pair, as the pairing for them is going to be much longer than trying to find something else. For example, I would much rather go with these two pieces to try to pair up and then insert before I would ever think about grabbing this one and grabbing this one, even if I knew that they were there. There are exceptions to this, but if you're fairly new to F2L, I don't want you to be thinking about doing weird cases like this. You just keep it simple. But if you're going to ignore me anyway, I want to show you how to pair these together as efficiently as possible, intuitively. So the most logical thing to do, after we realize what kind of orientation we have with our edge piece, is to get out this corner piece, just like we normally do. And then now we have a kind of case where we had in last video, where we would need to bring up this edge piece, slot it right by the corner, and then have it pair together in a good pairing, such as this one, and then insert into the back slot. But there's actually two more ways to do this, and if you're a beginner, this may not be as intuitive. So first of all, we can realize that this corner piece right here will kind of go right underneath of the edge piece, and you can see what I mean right here, where we turn the D layer twice, so now the cross is misaligned by 2 turns. But this actually aligns this red and blue corner piece to line up with this one in a good pairing, so to speak. So with this knowledge, if we want to put this underneath this one over here, it would line up perfectly. So if we recognize this, then we can take this corner piece, put it underneath that edge piece, just like this. And then from here, we can take it out of this column altogether. And then now our cross is misaligned by 2 turns, so we need to do another D2 to fix it. And then now we still have this this pairing right here, so all we need to do is insert right back into where we got it out from. If we can compare the two, this one takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 moves, where the second option would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 moves. There's even one more option to consider though, and this is the least intuitive out of all of them, but seeing the case as you did before will help you to understand this a little bit better. This concept that I'm referring to is called keyhole, and we're not going to be talking about this in the series until later on down the line, but I figured this is a good place to introduce it anyway. So what we need to do is take this corner piece out into the top layer like we did in the first scenario, and then we need to recognize that this needs to go here. But right now there's a different corner piece in there. So imagine, just like in the last one we had the corner piece right here, we could turn it first here and then here to make it fit underneath this one. Imagine first, instead of us putting this piece from here over to here, we would take this corner piece and bring it to where this one was. So if we take that corner that's right here, we can bring it 2 turns over to where this one was, and then insert it back into that exact spot. Notice here how it fits right in between the 2 cross pieces that will now travel all the way back to the other side of the cube. So if we do that with a D2 like this, notice how this whole column is here now. So again, we have our edge piece right here, corner piece right here. We would take it up into the top layer, bring this square, this corner piece that's right here, all the way over, insert this corner piece into that spot right in between the 2 cross pieces, and then insert it all back by doing a D2, and now it's fixed. Now for this particular case, I don't think it's any better than the previous solution I just gave you, but we'll try it anyway. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So both of those are 8 moves. It's up to your preference of how you want to insert that. And then from here, if you have the edge piece still oriented in its matching column like this, and you have the corner piece that corresponds with this one in an opposite column, so you just get them out one at a time, get the corner out like that, move it out of the way, then bring this one up, and then insert these into the front slot. I want you to keep in mind how long these algorithms are too. They're much longer than the other ones that we've been doing. So if we were to do this again, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 moves, when there was probably a case like this up here, where even though it's not oriented correctly, we can still just do 1, 2, 3, 4, rotate, 5, 6, 7, solve, like that. But anyway, the same is true for if the edge is not oriented in this spot, and we still have this corner piece here in the opposite column. We just get them out one at a time, like this. Realize how we need to pair them, so it needs to be a good pairing. Pair them together like that, and then now we need to rotate from here, so we just rotate and insert. And then same goes for if this piece is anywhere else besides this matching column. If it's over here in this opposite column, and then the corner piece is here in the similar one, same thing, we just get the pieces out one at a time. And then notice how, I guess right here, we have to notice how this one comes out. So the blue is facing us, it will be the one that goes on the top, right there. We push it out of the way, and then now we have an unoriented edge, so we would need to rotate and then solve into the back. And that's essentially how you solve any of these cases. First, you would just recognize how you need to get this out. You can either get it out like this, turning it into the upward facing one. It would probably be better just to get it out like this, keeping it on the side, and then turning it into one of the ones that we've had before, where we would then pair them together and then insert them. So yeah, we're not going to go look at every one of those cases just because I feel it's unnecessary to do so. Maybe in the future we'll come back and I'll explain F2L tricks to solve especially the ones that are not oriented, but it's going to be a very long time before any of that would be useful to you anyway, so we're going to skip it for now. But in terms of actual F2L cases, that was about it. There's not really too much to go over there. So from here, like we do in every video, we're going to go do 1 or 2 example solves and try to implement as much of the knowledge that we've gained from this video as well as the knowledge from past videos. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, as always, make sure you keep the white side of the cube facing upwards and then the green facing us as you put in this scramble here. Alright, and as you finish, your cube should look exactly like mine. So we'll go ahead and put our white side on the bottom. And then we're going to find our cross pieces. So we've got one here, one here, one here, and one here. Alright, so thinking about our cross solution, we want to make it, again, in 8 moves or less. And with this setup, I'm finding a cross solution that's pretty simple, I think. I'm thinking of putting this red under here, and then all we need to do is carry this blue with a double piggyback over to this side. So we'll take this orange like that, and then that will deliver the blue to its center cap piece. But before we do that, notice that we have this green right here, which is unoriented. We can piggyback him over top of the orange halfway through its rotation. So if we were to go here and then deliver this green to sit on top of the orange right here, then the green will still be facing upwards, and then we can drop the blue in as well as the green at the same time. So if we think about it in our heads, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can do both of these moves at once by doing something like this, and then that would be 5 moves. So 5 move cross solution, I'm okay with that. Let's see how it turns out. So as often as you can, make sure to be implementing the blind solving practice that I recommended a couple of videos ago. So for me, I'm going to be closing my eyes, making sure that I know how to do this without looking at it, and I suggest that you would learn to do the same. Alright, so from here, we go red in like this. Now we have the green coming to sit over the orange like this with a U2. And then now the orange will drop in, and then we have both of these ready to slot in with that same move that I just said. Alright, we can open our eyes now. So at this point, we would look for our edges in our 3-edge center. Of course, these do have yellow on them, so we're not going to spend any time talking about them. I want to focus on this guy. So normally when we have an edge piece up here, especially when it's the only edge like this, we want to look for a possible corner connection. A corner that possibly pairs with this, I mean. So the only one that looks like it could do that is this one here. But if we refer back to the F2L deductions video, we would know that this piece does not pair up with this one because the green is already touching right here, and this one would have to be touching red for this to work, but it's touching orange. So as we go forward, we want to see if we can deduce where this one's corner piece is going to be, since we don't have any other edges. Just by thinking about it, there are a few places where it could end up. So right here we have yellow, so it's not this one. This one does not have the colors that match this one, so this one's not it. This one down here could be it, but we don't have enough information about it. This one has orange, so not one of these two colors. That one's not it. We just deduced this one, and that one's not it, and this one's obviously not it. So think about it. This one could be it. The one that's back here in this column could be it, and this one could be it. So the way that we find out as much as we can about all 3 of those is by rotating this way. So keep in mind, you can change your game plan at any given moment. So if we rotate this way and see that we have a pair right here, we could just go ahead and do that one if we wanted to. But in these blind solving practices, I like to just find every little thing that I can and go with that. So before we put in this pair, I want to see if this is a pair, first of all. So the way that we would deduce this one without looking at it directly is by putting the red down here in our imaginations and then taking this one to the red. So it would go back this way, and imagine that this mystery color comes down here like this, comes here, and we deduce that this one does have blue on the back of it. So it does not pair up with this one. We could do normal deductions for this one, but I can go ahead and tell you right now that since I see this green right here, and they're both relevant corners, then this one has to have red on the other side because this one has orange on it. So this one pairs with this. Alright, so we have 2 pairs in front of us and one extra piece of information with this blue and red corner piece right here. So we want to remember as much of this information as possible as we go forward. Keep in mind, we also want to try to insert one of these pairs in a way that would help us preserve the other one, if at all possible. But just to keep things easier on ourselves, I want to go with the case that is the easier insert. So between these two and these two, I believe these two would be easier because this one's edge is oriented and this one is not. So these 2 pieces need to go in the column back here. So we're just going to close our eyes and think about how we want to pair them up. So the way I'm going to do it is just by putting this one right here and then bringing this corner piece up, moving it out of the way, and then bringing this back up, which would leave this edge right here and then the corner piece that's down here right here. And what that looks like, I'm closing my eyes right now, I would put this over here, hide it, bring the corner out, then bring this back up, and then now they're paired together in an opposite pairing. And simply from here, I'm just going to turn the U layer and then insert that into a back slot. Alright, so we could have tracked that other pair, the green and orange one, but I will be honest with you, I did not. So we'll just go forth with the information that we have. I see this one down here, which looks like it could go along with this edge piece, but we know that it does not because of deductions. So this is not the corner piece that corresponds with this edge piece. So other information that we have available to us right now is that we have this obvious corner piece right here with all three sides available to our vision. Then we also have this one over here, which looks like it could be a good corner, but we don't know if it has white or yellow on the side. The quickest way for me to deduce this is by putting this down here and see how it matches with its similar color here. If this one aligns with a similar color, then this is a relevant corner. And it does because green goes down to meet the green that's on this side. Remember, green is on the other side of blue. So if this piece were to fit right down in here, imagine it coming 2 spots over on the cube, that would fit perfectly underneath here. So both of these are relevant corners. That also tells me, without even deducing this one, that this one is not the relevant corner, since this one is. We want to look for one or both of their edge pieces, and we can find them because, just like in the last video's example solve, I showcased how you can deduce the edge pieces as long as you have prior knowledge. We have a very crucial piece of prior knowledge in this solved column back here, and we always also have our cross piece edges done. So all the cross piece edges we don't need to think about. All of these 4 have yellow on them, and then this one has green and orange on it. This one has orange, but it also has blue, so this one's excluded from either of these two. So all we're left with really are just these 2 edge pieces, and since they both have blue on them, we know that one is going to pair with one of these. The problem is we don't know whether or not this one has orange on it or red, and then the other way too. So we could rotate and that would be fine, but another way to quickly get information is just to do a simple U-turn like that. If we do the U-turn here, we get to see whether or not this is orange or red, and we can act accordingly based off of what it is. So I like to have a plan before I even turn this of what I'm going to do if it's one color or the other. So if it's orange on this side, all I would need to do is recognize that this would be an opposite pairing, which would need to, we would need to put the edge here. And if this was red on the back, then I would need to recognize that these two, it would be a good pairing, which I would need to get this piece next to this one by putting it here. And also at the same time, I'm wanting to figure out the orientation of it before I even start too. So this blue being up here makes me realize that the red or orange back here would be over top of this square, therefore making it an unoriented edge. So anyway, with all that in mind, we're just going to give this a turn, and then of course we've already seen it, so it is the orange and blue, so it pairs up with this one. So from here we're just going to close our eyes, and then now we need to pair these two together by doing this, and then now we can insert into the back slot, just like that. Alright, and then we're left with this right in front of us, and you know, it doesn't really take too much deduction to figure out what we need to do here, so we're just going to close our eyes and do that one as well. Just like that. And then finally we're left here, and we can deduce everything that we need now by the information in front of us. So normally I look to my 3-edge center, but there's nothing of value anywhere within this, so we have to look outside of that. But with the knowledge that we have all 3 of these columns solved, this is the last column that needs solving, so therefore there's only one more edge piece that is going to be relevant. And we also know what kind of pieces need to go within this column right here, so that would be red and blue. So anyway, all the edges sides have yellow on them up here, and all the other columns are filled. So this is the only other spot that's even possible to have the relevant edge piece within it. So we know where our edge piece is, and then finally we have the corner piece that we're looking for, and we just need to find the colors on it. So we don't need to deduce this one. It's the only one that has both of the colors on it. It's pretty easy to see that this is the one that goes with this edge piece. So we can imagine that white is right here, so we just need to close our eyes, put this right here, and then I'm going to pair these two up by having this corner go down and hide. The edge piece up here will go on the back right there, and then I'm going to bring up the corner piece, and this is oriented, so I'm just going to insert into the front slot, like that. So we'll go ahead and stop there. There's not a whole lot that we need to cover with example solves in this video. It was good to go over the topics that we did before, but anyways, next video will be the last video we do on advanced F2L. We'll be looking at the final cases where the corner pieces are in the D layer, and then the edge pieces are in the U layer. So be excited for that. You'll finally have F2L completely underneath your belt, and then we can move forward and dive into other important topics. Alright, that's all I have for you guys. Take care. Bye. Alright, we're simply picking up where we left off last time and jumping into the new cases. First off, I'm going to point out... First off, I'm... Okay. So this first thing I'm going to point out is very obvious. This should not be as funny as it is.